gonna be a day. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna yell. I've got my mayor voice, why not? Welcome everybody to the Kechi City Council meeting. It is now 7:01 and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Debbie, could you please call roll?
Paul Dwyer.
Here.
Karen Wiederstein.
Here.
David Baldridge.
Here.
Todd Heston.
Here.
Matt Blair.
Here.
We have a quorum. If everyone could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to approving tonight's agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's agenda? Matt, do we have an executive session tonight?
We do not.
Okay, we can strike item 11. Council, any updates or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Did you say you do have? Don't have an executive session?
Correct.
Okay, my hearing is way off.
You're good.
Do not. I move we approve the agenda as written with striking item 11, executive session.
Second.
I have a motion by Todd, second by Karen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second. I have a motion by Matt, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to civic groups or committees. Do we have any civic groups or committees here to speak this evening? Seeing none. We will move on to Kechi Good News. Does council have any other Kechi Good News for what they have?
Your section's open.
What do you have?
That was mine! What?
I drove through it on the way here just to.
Just because you could.
Just to enjoy it.
I did too.
Well, that was the first one on mine. Any other Kechi Good News?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Kechi Lamp and supporting my children in their fundraising efforts, as well as the city for sending them a very nice card and congratulating them. It was it meant a lot to them in every way. It was really cool to be able to share that with our family, to show them what we're doing and how far they've come. So I couldn't be more proud of them. Sorry. Proud daddy moment.
Yeah.
But, so we're gonna go for the 6th next year, and
Yay.
we'll see if we can keep it rolling.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations, and yay, all the kids are going back to school. I'm sure all the parents are super excited, except for, the ones who have their kids going to college and they're leaving the nest, so I'm so sorry for all of them. But yay, school's starting back for them. I want to recognize the Kechi Playhouse. They received a couple really nice reviews about their new play, Much to Do About Nothing. One was from the Shout, a website named The Shout, and Broadway World. So please stop by. They've got 2 more weekends. It's 2, right? Or 3? I'm losing my weeks, guys. But please stop by, see them. They'd love to see you guys. Also, the Kechi Fair did host our adult bingo. We had a full house. We originally started out with letting everybody have 2 cards. We had to move it down to 1 because we had so many people show up that we couldn't have people have multiple cards. And we almost ran out. We had 0 left. And so if one more person had showed up, we were out of cards. So it was a really great time, had a lot of fun, and so we hope to do it again soon. And that's my Kechi Good News. So we'll move on to public comment. Debbie, any public comment? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment for the evening and move on to item 7A, fiscal year 2026 budget presentation. And I can't speak tonight. Matt.
Mayor and council, we have had a heck of a week, and one of the reasons that we cannot present this on the screen tonight is because on July 31st, this building was hit by lightning, and the past 2 weeks we have been discovering that cables are fried, that we don't have connections, that there's server issues, and when I came in this evening prior to the meeting to stream the video, we learned that we found another cable that got fried by the lightning system that won't allow us to broadcast it on your screens up there or here. So we're going old school. We're going back to the paper copy of everything. So we'll continue to work through those issues. We have our IT people on it. They're trying to figure everything out the best they can. They've told us that they can't find everything, that we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see, and over the next couple weeks to months, we will notice little things that aren't quite right, and they will come back and fix them. So that's where we're at tonight. We noticed one more thing that wasn't quite right. So, in front of you is a copy of the PowerPoint presentation for the proposed budget for 2026. And if you open to your first page, it's just a little bit of overview. We have talked about this several times in other meetings. Different funds of the city. We have our general fund, our capital project and equipment, our utility fund, our bond and interest, and our special funds. And under those headings are what those funds, what the breakdown of those funds are and what they control within the budget. The next page, which is a big dollar sign, is a breakdown of our mill rate. It's where your tax dollars go. So when you pay your property taxes, this is just an illustration of where your property taxes go. The city takes a portion, Sedgwick County takes a little bigger portion, depending on which school district you lie in, either the Valley Center School District or Wichita School District. They take quite a large portion. The state gets their cut, and then under other, that's for the South Central Kansas Library System, the fire district, some small levies like that. Any questions? So when we built the budget earlier this year, we did an exercise with everybody in this room, and it was a priority building exercise. We took those priorities, and those were the core of what we used to develop this budget, is trying to incorporate as many of those priorities into our budget as we could. So just to review those, the first was core services, and we look at core services as the things we must do really well. If they break, they are the first thing that people notice. So if your streets are bad, if you have potholes, if your water lines break, if your gas lines break, if some utility is not working, we hear about it immediately. So those are our core services. Under infrastructure, plugged into the budget this year is funding for streets. Under public safety, funding for police. Internal operations, funding for staffing and wages. And under utilities, we recently increased our water rates, which we are excited to see how those apply in next year's budget. You know, we were running very, very low on our water utility funds, and with those rate adjustments, we hope to see those come up. Next page is community investment. These are the things we aren't required to do, but they build quality of life, pride, and long-term value in Kechi. Specifically, our parks. You notice here it's highlighted in blue. We did build in money to go towards our parks, because our park is a very important part of this community. We have people who use it all the time, and we know from the feedback we got from council, feedback we get from the community, that people want to see enhancements to our parks, so we made sure that money is going to the parks. Other things, arts and culture, different community events, and civic groups. Next page is, under priorities, is our economic development. Those are different things that we do to recruit businesses, ways we stimulate the local economy. And the last one on our list that we developed earlier this year were incentives and partnerships, and those are ways that we work with other organizations, things that make it easy to attract business to Kechi or attract people to Kechi. So the next page, you will see it says 2026 budget highlights based off council priorities. Council's number one priority and the staff's number one priority was to keep our mill rate low. Every figure that you will see tonight is predicated on a 36.66.7-ish mill levy, okay? That will change a little bit when it's sent to the county and the final figures come in, but that was our target, is to maintain a flat mill levy, okay? So through this entire presentation, please remember that. With that, we continue to put 4 mills, property taxes to streets to fund street repairs. In this year's budget, we have funded 2 positions for public works. We have funded 1 position for PD, and I have an asterisk by that because we know the police department needs additional people. We know that we expect growth in the city. We haven't realized that growth yet. We are now a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week police department, and we need to maintain that. Chief's concern was, if we start getting busy, we may need more officers. So he and I had discussions and kind of came to a compromise. Rather than funding an officer for the full year, we have funded an officer starting the 3rd quarter of 26, when we may start seeing some of that growth and development. If it comes that we need more officers, we can add them at that time. The funding will be there. If we don't, then we don't have to add them. We continue to put 2 mills towards parks. 1 mill generates approximately $35,000. So that's approximately $70,000 that's going to parks in the 2026 budget. And of course, our water rate adjustments. We're excited to see if those will restore the utility fund inequities that we saw, start building up those reserves, give us more cash reserves, so when something goes bad, like I talked about, we can pay for it, because none of those repairs are cheap repairs. The next page is our CIP, Capital Improvement Program. If you look under 2026, which is the column right in the middle of the graph there, slated for this year was a police car replacement. Under street repairs, we will be funding repairs to Anderson, Matson, Baird, and Anderson specifically from Anderson, well, it says Anderson to Oliver. Sunnydale Court, and those are all the major street repairs we have for 26. Budget timeline. We are tonight presenting you with the draft budget, the final budget for council's input. After tonight, we will ask you to publish the budget and set a budget hearing for September 11th. That is when you will approve the budget. Anything we do tonight does not approve the budget. We are presenting the budget to you. Time for you to give us feedback, seeing if we took what you told us, and we're going in the right direction. We can make adjustments from here, okay? Once you authorize us to publish the notice of the budget meeting, we cannot lower the estimated mill levy that we publish. So it is published, it will be published maximum not to exceed at 39 mills, but please remember, this budget, when we bring it back to you, will be a 36 mill budget. That is the maximum not to exceed. We're not going to exceed that. If we were to set it at 36 and we needed to move it up to 36 and a half or 37 mills for some unforeseen something that we didn't get in there, we could not do it, okay? So that's why we have that little buffer in there, those 39 mills. But the budget we bring back to you to approve will be the 36. All right, now we get into the meat and potatoes and stuff. Matt Lawn is here, our financial consultant, and he will present the 2026 budget.
Okay.
Do you read this up?
Okay, so let's turn to the first page that has figures on it, which is general fund revenue. You look at that top line, well, the very top line is your beginning fund balance. The next line down, ad valorem tax, that's the property tax. In the far right column, that 1.311 figure, that is the amount of property tax that would be generated with the 36.790 mills, which is what this year, even doing the official number was for last year. If you did adopt the full 39 that we're putting in the notice, it would generate about $105,000 in additional property tax revenue. So it's not nothing, but it's not super significant. The other things to look out for here, we're projecting a modest increase in sales tax revenue generation. So other than that, everything's pretty much about the same, slightly more anticipated for franchise fees as well.
You know, it looks like, motor vehicle tax as well is a little bit higher.
Yeah, we get that number for motor vehicle directly from the county.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they provide those numbers for us, so they're assumed to be fairly accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Next page is, we're gonna start going through, the expense side. The first one there is general government, that's gonna be everything included in your general government operations, administration, yourselves, the governing body, facilities, and things like that. And so you can see there, top line personnel, that's primarily gonna be your administrative staff, salaries and benefits. Again, not, we did increase the salaries and benefits per, council constructions, and there was, we're anticipating some additional contractual costs, everything else is pretty flat. Next is law enforcement, this is gonna be PD courts. You can see there again, increases for, personnel, including the funding of, position for the fourth quarter of, 2026, in addition to what we have now. Next is gonna be community and economic development, there are not any personnel, figures for this, but there's no personnel that's paid for out here. And I can't exactly remember what it was, but I think there was a bunch of, contractual things that were included here that are not being spent or were reallocated to another cost center, so that's why that number dropped so significantly. And then the last is gonna be the transfers, I'll spend a little bit of time here. You'll notice on the 2024 actuals at the very bottom line, special transfer of parks and recreation. From what I can tell, the money that you've been setting aside for parks has remained in the general fund and has not been specifically, put aside for anything else. And there's advantages to that, such as, it's included in the general fund budget, you really don't have any cap on spending. But I'm gonna recommend you do is start to transfer that into your special parks and rec fund. And what we'll do is, prior to finishing the audit for 24, we're gonna go ahead and transfer about $200,000 fund balance over to that fund. And then, you see down here, another $100,000 for 25, and which is gonna be sort of essentially what in total is gonna be, it's gonna be 2 mills for the last 2 years. And then beginning in 2026, for that 71.3, that is what, based on this budget, what 2 mills would look like in total revenue, so we'll transfer that beginning in 26.
Matt, can I stop you
Go
there
ahead.
and just add something? So that's funds specifically Matt and I talked about. Like he said, those funds were housed in our general fund, but other than somebody knowing how much we had there, it was very hard to track and keep track of those funds. So that's why we decided to create this additional fund, so we can track those funds, we know exactly how much we have, and there's no confusion as to what we have and where it is.
Yeah, we're gonna need that here in a little while.
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll see in the, whether you end up spending it or not, you'll see later on when we get to that fund budget. I'm just gonna, budget the entirety of your fund balance, plus whatever you transfer in, for expenditure. I mean, you don't have to spend it, but because it's a budgeted fund, you need budget authority to spend it, so we're just gonna budget the entirety of what would be present there. As you can see too, to make those large transfers to, special highway street fund for street projects. Then the next one is, it just says general fund expense, that's essentially the entirety of the fund, in one matrix, and it shows the ending fund balances at the bottom there. The first column is your ending fund balance for 2024. Next is what was, the ending fund balance budgeted for this year, then the estimate, which is always gonna be lower because there are things built in, there are essentially cash, fund balances built into that budget that, change that, but these are more realistic, for what we anticipate going forward.
So on this ending balance, for 2026 budget, do you feel like that's a,
I don't think it's gonna be that low, we do that for budgeting purposes, so you can get your mill levy where you need it to be. So, but yeah, you want, in a perfect world, you want 180 days of operations, but, you know, you get your first tranche of, property tax in January, so 90 days is I'd be pretty comfortable with that. So that will probably be about what you end up having at that point, so. And again, too, there's also it's about $250,000 in, discretionary that we're building into this in order to get that mill levy to where it needs to be, so that's an additional, thing you have available to you. The next page is gonna be, bond and interest fund. This is the debt service fund where you make the bond payments from. It's funded through, primarily through special assessment taxes, and then, you'll have some transfers from the utilities that make debt service payments. They transfer it in there, and the debt service payments are made from there. On the expenditure side, you see the offset there, and too, so if you what I was talking about with that 250 for general fund, if you look at the cash basis reserve line item on that bond and interest fund expense page at 515,000, that is essentially, we're budgeting that, so you have the authority to spend. So for instance, let's say you decided to retire something early and you need to be able to cash out the full amount that was remaining in that bond. Now you have the budget authority to do up to $500,000 of that if you need to. But we're not anticipating actually spending that. You will not have a zero fund balance at the end of 26. That's just we do that for budgeting purposes. And you'll see that again with some of the other funds. There's a cash basis reserve line item that on the state forms. Essentially what it does is whatever fund balance you have remaining after your budget year, you basically plug in that number into that cash basis reserve line item, which gives you the authority to spend, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to. So, for instance, like the land bank fund here, I'm not exactly sure if anything's been done with this fund for a couple of years, but we're just basically plugging in the fund balance and then the full amount of that uncovered cash plus the full amount of the payout for it every year. Keep that going. Next, we've got the street fund, and see there, primarily, that's, well, I have the revenue side for that. You guys have the revenue page for the street fund?
Yep.
You do?
We don't have the expense.
Okay, so, funded primarily through a portion of your, sales tax plus transfer from the general fund, as we discussed earlier. And then on the expenditure side, that big $1 million number, I don't think you're spending $1 million out of your street fund next year. But we put that there to give you that budget authority to maintain your fund balance. And I think I'm actually gonna change that, I'm gonna do a slight adjustment there that will, not have an impact on your budget adoption, but just to clear up a couple of things when we do the final budget. Next is the special parks and rec fund that we talked about a little bit earlier. You see we're transferring money in there over the next 2 years to bring that fund balance up to basically what that bottom fund balance number is there on the far right, plus $280,000 if you don't spend anything in 2026. That's a lot for park projects, I would think. So that'll get that money put aside for you to more easily track it. The opioid fund, I'm gonna have a question for your auditor about what he wants to do about that. Because we haven't finished the year-end rollover yet, that negative, essentially that total spending for 24 was $9,300, which is more than was budgeted for that year. And I'm not exactly sure whether or not we need to do anything or not, because I'm not sure necessarily if this is a budgeted fund. I don't think it needs to be, but if you do, we'll journal entry that back to the general fund. And, anyway, this'll, if we do need to budget this fund, this will give you the ability to spend up to $7,100 in '26, which I believe chief uses for
Community events.
community events and things like that, so you'll have
Right.
all that available. And again, I'm not necessarily recommending you spend that much, but this will give you the ability to if you'd like to. It's good to carry some of that forward year to year.
And those opioid funds that we receive are the result of these lawsuits with the big pharmaceutical companies, and each jurisdiction gets a cut depending on certain, matrix, or whatever their distribution matrix is. So we continue to receive small amounts. They will be put into this fund, and we'll continue to track them through here.
Yeah.
So none of this is from tax revenues or anything. It's all from revenues from those lawsuits and distributions.
I'm at the top of the water utility fund page, if you guys, if
Yes.
I'm not going too fast. Okay, so I am gonna budget a $17,000 of additional utility sales next year, which is essentially your water revenue. We can probably go a little more than that, but for budgeting purposes, let's wait and see how those rates perform before we start filling it out. I'd like you to pay attention to the utility connections and fees line. You'll see it's $210,000, which is quite a bit more than what was last year.
Yeah.
Well, if you look on the next page, you'll see on the transfer line, $200,000 as well. This is, again, we're doing this to give you budget authority, because I understand that, you're gonna need to buy new meters as your city continues to grow. What we're really doing here is basically saying, if you get the meter fees of that amount to buy those meters, this allows you to do it. I don't think it's gonna be that much, but we just wanted to give as much as we possibly could in case that's what happened. So again, we're just building flexibility into the budget. We're not necessarily saying we should spend that much, and you definitely don't wanna drop your fund balance down to, $100,000, which would it do if you actually did that without receiving that revenue. But this just gives you a little bit of flexibility to do that going forward. So we will keep track of how many meters we actually buy and how many, what we need, to make sure we're collecting enough to make those payments. But again, we're just building authority into the budget. We're not actually, we're not necessarily gonna be spending that. Gas utility, very healthy fund. Revenue to date looks great, and with no additional rates or anything, I think it'll be the same next year. And again, here on the utility connection fees, $200,000, again, it's the same thing with water, building in the opportunity, the ability to spend more for meters if you so need to. And that's, I think we plug that into the transfer line item, so essentially you'd be transferring that out to the gas reserve fund, which is typically where those meter purchases come from.
So that's just an extra 200,000 in the transfer, is that why you wanna?
Yeah, that's why we want-
700 something?
Yeah. Sewer utility, again, very healthy fund. The projection for next year is based on, year-to-date and any additional, revenue that was generated due to your increased water rates, which can sometimes have a small multiplier effect. And then on the expenditure side, everything's pretty much maintaining there. Some increase for a portion, I think a portion of a position is funded through here, so that's why that went up a little bit there. Your final two utility funds are much smaller funds. They're stormwater and your solid waste funds. Nothing really stands out different there, pretty much carrying forward, which is last year.
On the sewer,
Yes.
are we anticipating any major work being done on sewer for '26?
Under our CIP, Thomas, maybe you can answer that, but we don't have any, we know that we're gonna have to have major sewer stuff done, especially sewer extensions and different things like that, but we don't have anything in the pipeline yet.
So we don't anticipate anything for '26, or we're just kind of gonna
we don't have anything anticipated for '26 yet,
Okay.
yes.
And
No,
typically
no
you're-
major repairs or anything like that, yeah.
And typically, if you're talking about the scale of a big sewer project, you're typically gonna wanna go through other financing needs and using your operating funds for that, whether it be a state revolving loan or bond, whatever.
Thomas, on the CIP projects, we have the priority 2 items. You know, we got the priority 1 emergency stuff we had to fix as far as the upkeep. When do we need to start thinking about those priority 2 items?
As soon as you guys want to, I mean, that's kind of up to you guys, your decisions on, you know, planning and putting ahead or saving for those things that you guys want, looking forward in the future. Like she brought up the sewer, you know, saving and putting away for that, for debt payments or, you know, that we would receive. I know there's lots of money and stuff out there for things that you guys wanna do.
Right. But I mean, like, to Matt's point, it's some of that, you know, we'll look at different avenues of sourcing, but to me, those priority 1, 2, and 3s that we came up is more of a maintenance issue for the system we have. I think we need to start thinking about at least putting something toward those priority 2s, because I know on the CIP chart, we didn't have any, those 2s and 3s aren't anywhere in the next few
Right,
years.
and our
Right.
reline program, just so everything's in good shape right now. Something that, and this is a little ahead of ourselves, that we will be looking at later this year are impact fees for the utilities. And some of those impact fees will help build funds for the sewer maintenance and repairs and stuff like that as well, yeah.
We feel like, so Thomas, you feel like our sewer system is functioning
So-
in good shape?
Currently, with the improvements we made this last year, almost all clay tile lines were relined. All brick manholes were relined, so no infiltration there. Of course, we have the big ticket thing, you know, if we get 2 housing additions in, we'll need to look at either upsizing the lines or water treatment plant somewhere, buying property and figuring out where that goes. Of course, you know, the sewer master plan kind of covers that, from PEC. Water lines, of course, when you grow, you're gonna have to be looking at water towers and pressures, throughout the city. Looking at, you know, exactly how the council wants to hit those challenges when we get there, whether it's looping or putting in water towers, and strategically putting those. Do we want to look, you know, east, north also, cause we're starting to see growth both ways. The gas is probably the next thing on the list, upsizing some of our lines. I mean, a lot of these lines were put in 1959. As we continue to grow out, looping those lines the same as we would do with our water, so we can keep those constant pressures. So I know that me and Matt talked about recently upsizing one of those certain lines through downtown. Unfortunately, we might be seeing a little more work on there here pretty soon, hopefully. You know, strategically putting those in, I think the budget covers all that. That was the reason for the $200,000. The question I had with them was, if I buy a meter set, you know, it cost me $2,000, though I'm gonna get reimbursed for it, I don't technically have the right to spend that until the following year. So if we could budget a little more, so when we do projects like, for instance, if we have a housing addition coming in the city, we put all the gas in, most of those developers will just pay us outright. That's a special that doesn't have to go on to that housing addition. Me and Matt talked about some other things, particularly with water, and doing that, and so if the city does that and the council decides that they want a crew on hand that can, you know, put that infrastructure in internally instead of outsourcing it, that's totally up to you guys, but, you know, if we spend $250,000 running a gas main up to 69th and Rock or 77th and Woodlawn or whatever it may be, we just need to have that budgeted, that way we can spend that, in there, even though it might not technically be there now. When they pay us, those funds should be in there, so.
But that would, maybe per se come out of these funds. Well, I mean, other than the $200,000 that we're budgeting, right?
Well, technically, yes, so, when I buy those, so let's say there's a development comes in, there's 50 duplexes or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy 100 meters or whatever
Yeah.
ahead of
And
time.
they get reimbursed.
And then as soon as they, you know, connect or whatever, then they will reimburse when they pay those connection fees.
Okay.
So,
You've got enough fund balance there to cover that lag between purchasing.
Just wanna make sure
And-
we're well positioned for that growth.
Yeah, and a lot of those plans are gonna come from seeing where our growth patterns are too, and where we need to build out that system. So just recently, you know, we just annexed 80 acres that is going to develop. We haven't got word of when it's going to develop yet. But you know, most of that was slated for industrial out there. Now we have a big residential tract going in. So we need to watch those patterns of growth and where they are, if they're gonna be more north than they are east or where. And that will guide us in those strategic plans as far as water and sewer a lot, so.
So, last few pages here are just a copy of the, notice of public hearing, that this is the notice that includes both the R&R hearing and the traditional budget hearing to be seven PM on September 11th. And again, you know, if you do notice here, we do have the 39.79 mill rate here. Again, is just for publication purposes. Everything you've seen that we've presented to you tonight is based on 36.79.
I just want to be clear about the, full-time clerk position. Is it moving Ben's part-time position to full-time?
Yes,
Or- Okay.
yeah, that's correct. And that's one thing I did not cover in there. One of the reasons I didn't cover it is because it's just not a very significant change. Last year when we approved that clerk position, we had told you at that time that we would see how it works. And man, that's one of the best things we've done in this past year, is add that clerk. It has really, really taken a load off specifically these two ladies here and allowed them to stay on task and do what they need to do. And having him up there answering phone calls, taking walk-ins, scheduling the community room, all the other things that he does, in addition to assisting me and Chris and Debbie on other things, even Thomas, the projects that we have has just been invaluable. So, we know that moving that to a full-time position would benefit us even more, but it's not a significant impact to the budget, so.
Are we gonna lose him because he's a student?
Well, I hope not. He
I
hasn't
hope
alluded
not
to
too,
that
but
yet.
I just don't wanna lose him.
Yeah, no,
So-
he hasn't alluded to that, and he does a great job for
Okay.
us, so.
Question on the two positions for public works.
Yes.
Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yep, so what we did on those, we're really not adding any money to the public works budget, we're just keeping it there, okay? And when I say that, that is because his assistant public works director is retiring at the end of this year. So rather than pulling that salary from the public works budget, we left that salary there. Thomas has told me it's not his immediate plan to replace his number two. If we need additional people, we can split that position and backfill it, so we can use those funds to create those additional two positions. Okay? So we're not adding anything to public works, we just keeping it there to allow us to backfill that with two people, rather than.
I know you've had a history of having issues filling. Do we have more the last time we filled? Like more applicants or anything the last time we tried?
yeah, so this time we actually went out and got onto Indeed
Okay.
instead of just staying in our local city channels. So, you know, yeah, HRA partners or whatever years ago and some other things that are no longer there. So recruiting, you know, became really difficult. We use KMGA, we use KWRA, and you know, and I think if you look on KWRA site, there's probably 200 openings for city workers on that site. So when you're trying to fight with them, being a small city, like I said, we just can't compete with the larger guys. But I think this last time we had 30 or 40 through
Wow.
Indeed that applied, so,
That's awesome.
we did hire two younger gentlemen that, one came from corrections, one's still in the military, but he's in the National Guard now, and so, you know, they wanted to stay here and raise families, they're about that age, so, we had, I don't know, Debbie, what did we turn away, probably 10 or 15? We had kinda upset that we didn't choose them, so we let them know that
Fair.
we would keep them there, so. It, definitely was different than I was used to in the last 4 or 5 years, so it was
So-
definitely good.
Good new recruiting and that's awesome.
Yeah, I would just say,
They're doing a good job.
I think hiring across any industry is tough
Yeah.
right now. So, you know, Thomas experiences that, the police department experiences that, we experience, every one of you in your industries experiences that. So we're pretty fortunate that we got the 2 kids that we did, and they've been serving us well, so.
Awesome. That's
Yeah, I
great.
heard one of them out mowing the park today, I think. Are they out mowing the park?
Yeah.
Is that my
yeah.
neighbor?
I can both. You never know.
I sing
I'm not.
inside, so I don't know.
Can you talk a little bit more? I know we've talked a lot about police and extra patrol and all of that and why we need the extra one. Can you just refresh us again, since it's been a few months, of why we need the extra, just for
Sure, yeah.
all of that?
And the simple answer to that is to keep doing what we're doing and keeping our crime rate low. We are surrounded, we're a suburb of the largest city in Kansas. We're surrounded by, on each side, by 2 very busy towns. Park City specifically, we have a ton of overflow traffic from Park City. Now that the intersection's open, that's only going to increase. The police department has seen a lot of increased traffic, especially from the entertainment district up on 85th Street and 135, the casinos, everything else that's going on up there. You know, oftentimes those people that are involved in the criminal acts or the criminal element, they oftentimes like to take the back roads home, and guess what? We're the back road home. So they come down 85th Street, 77th Street, hit Oliver, and it takes them straight into Wichita. It's a very good back route. We're just there to pick them up most of the time. We have seen an increase in DUIs, we've seen an increase in drug arrests, in drug and weapon arrests. So, you know, we're just part of that, and part of keeping our community safe is having a strong police force. And part of having a strong police force is having guys out here 24 hours a day. So when all of us in here are sleeping, somebody's watching our town. And we're not that sleepy little town that everybody knows that the police officers go home when the porch lights come on. And that's when they can come up here and steal things and do their business. So it's very important to have a strong police force just for the security and safety of our community. And it comes with an expense, but if we don't have that, if we let it lapse, if we pull back on it, crime's gonna go up, and that's not what we need. That's not good for recruiting people to our town. It's not good for the citizens of our town. It's not what they want. They want somebody out there watching, when they're sleeping and protecting their property. And most importantly, when you call 911, somebody's gonna come, no matter if it's a criminal offense. Oftentimes, or more oftentimes, it's a medical that they call, and we respond to medical too. So in a life-saving situation, rather than wait for a fire truck to come from Park City or up by Valley Center or Wichita or an ambulance, our officers can be the first ones there to start, you know, CPR or whatever else they may need. And sometimes those seconds or minutes are the difference between tragedy and success, so.
So what would that look like for 28's budget? I know we put it at the end of 4th quarter, so say we hire another full-time officer. How does that impact our budget the following year?
You can,
Yeah, that's what I meant.
the following year, yeah, when you
27.
add an employee,
Mhm.
anywhere, you can expect that to cost roughly $100,000, with salary and benefits. So without putting pen to paper, I don't have an exact number for you, but about $100,000 would be adding an additional employee.
So I guess my question is, could we still stay potentially at our rate the following year? I would hate to add something this year that about like
Yeah,
triples over
that
to the
would be
next
our-
year.
that would be our hope, and that is why
Yeah.
growth is so vital
I agree.
to us, to expand and diversify that tax base, so we're getting more tax revenue in to support the services that our citizens demand and our city demands. Some of the things that we know is we do have some IRBs that are getting ready to fall off after that 10-year mark, so that will help us. Any additional development, either commercial or residential that comes this year is of course gonna help. There's a little bit of an onset delay for that, but that's why we've been pushing so hard to annex, to get more residents, to get more commercial. Our industrial park's doing very well. We have a lot of big companies coming in, and even though we have issued those IRBs, it's part of our long-range plan to sustain that growth and to sustain those tax revenues that come to the city so we can support the services that we provide.
Additionally, I believe you've got some room to reallocate, how certain personnel are paid, so you can reallocate some of your admin, for example, pay to other funds, which are healthier. I think the increase in water rates will have a significant effect on that too, so.
Yeah, there's just so many factors that play into that growth, you know, our 1% sales tax. As we grow, as our business sector grows and we start to get more retail, that 1% sales tax is gonna continue to grow and grow and grow. And what that'll allow us to do, once this downtown project is paid off, it would, you know, it's ultimately up to the council, but we could retain that and still fund our road improvements and utility improvements with some of that money, which reduces the need for those general fund revenues to go towards, you know, those big projects and things like that, which ultimately allows us to keep that mill rate low.
I'm not disagreeing, I just wanted to make sure we all talked about it.
Yes.
So, I'm just. Any other questions, council?
I would say I think we have a very healthy budget. It's a very conservative budget. I think you will see that it meets the priorities that you as the council set out, the priorities that we hear from the community, the priorities that you hear from the community. And I just think it's a solid budget, very conservative.
The next 2 weeks or so, each of us will review this, and I know I probably have a couple areas that I'd like to move around a little bit and give you those suggestions.
Yep, look through it, digest it, call me, talk, and we'll bring it back and present all that and those options before you approve anything.
So we need a motion, correct, or something?
Yep.
I mean,
Should be on your agenda item. Let me see.
can't find mine, but somebody had it. I would entertain a motion.
Is it the authorizing the publication?
Yep.
I move we authorize the publication of the maximum property tax levy of $39.790 to fund the 26 budget, and notice of public hearing on September 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a motion by Todd, second by Paul. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. And that one didn't.
The notice is.
The notice is that,
is
okay,
the
I just wanna make
revenue
sure.
for rate hearing and the
Yeah.
regular
For
public
whatever
hearing.
reason, I thought we did them
It's in that
separate
notice.
the last few years, but it's been a year, so.
Yeah, we did the revenue.
You will
rate
adopt
in
it
July.
semi.
Okay,
You'll hold 2 public hearings. and
that's
adopt
why,
it,
Yeah, you'll hold the revenue neutral rate first and then the budget second.
okay,
Who made the second?
Paul. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to item 7C, Kechi fee schedule.
Mayor and council, we're bringing back to you the fee schedule that we brought to you at the July meeting, had discussion on specifically. We talked about the fees for the community room rental. We took your input, came back, talked among staff, and our recommendation for 2025 is to keep the non-resident rental portion into the community room. 2 parts to that. One is we have not had a good system of tracking when somebody rents who lives within inside the city and who lives with outside the city. So we have changed our application so we can capture that information and track it a little more. I did go back and look through some receipts and files that Chris keeps from past rentals, and of those rentals over approximately the last year, about 2/3 of the rentals came from people with inside the city, okay? 1/3, approximately 1/3 from people outside the city. The other interesting fact to that is, and what they had brought to our attention and see, is about half of the people from outside the city that rented the community room, there was a note on their application that said, do not return deposit damage, do not rent to this person again. So it really solidified the information that they were giving us on where that damage is occurring. We didn't have any of that. Well, I'm sorry, we had one resident in the city that had damaged the room and they're not rented to anymore, but the majority of those were from outside the city. To that, we know that, well, I haven't verified it, but we did hear that Park City changed their rental policy for their community rooms to be specific towards their residents only. And I would assume it probably has to do with the same thing, so I'll confirm that. But for the remainder of this year, because we do have people that already have the room reserved, we don't know if they live inside the city or with outside the city, we're just gonna keep it the same. We increased those rates a little bit. They haven't been increased in quite some time to cover the cost, just the wear and tear on the room, minor repairs that need to be done, upgrades that will need to be done, painting the walls, replacing the blinds, replacing the floors. From time to time, staff has to go in, we have to clean it. Our cleaning lady that we have that comes each week, she cleans the community room for us once a month. So there's expenses that go with that, and it was time to adjust those fees a little bit, and they are reasonable. They're in line with area cities, not above or below, just kind of right in the middle. So we will keep that. Some other things were, Todd, you had talked about the
three-year license for the
three-year
contractor
licenses.
licenses.
Yes.
I would like to see that go to 2, which is more standard for MABCD and a lot of municipalities.
Okay.
The reason for that is Kechi being a smaller town, if a contractor wants to come in and do a one-off project, which is pretty common, that's a big chunk on a smaller project. So I'd like to see that. One year is excessive, I believe, just from the management of it.
Okay.
But I think 2 years is a good compromise, and it can lessen that fee and maybe open some doors for other contractors.
Okay.
So, but I would propose we change that to 2. And the fee, corresponding fees, of course, will just adjust for a 2-year versus a 3-year.
Okay.
I would suggest that we review this again next year, specifically the room rentals.
We
Make
will,
sure that-
yeah. The fee
Okay.
schedule comes back each year,
Perfect,
so,
thank you.
yeah.
Didn't remember it from last year. It's probably a fly by.
So Todd, on the contractor's license, 2 years, right?
Yes, 2 years.
So if
Would
you,
you start that at the first of the year?
Sure. I
It'd
mean,
be
whatever
easier
makes
for
sense.
tracking.
Well, I was just trying to figure out, we're trying to drop it or we're trying to increase it?
Drop it.
Because,
We-
like,
the-
now there's one, every year you have to renew your license.
And that's a pain.
MABCD is every 2 years, but our fee is actually less than both of them per standard, so we're actually
I'm
lower than
fine
Park
with the
City.
yearly fee, so just for an example, building contractor class C residential is $300. We would change that from a 3-year license to a 2-year license and make the fee $200.
so change the fee as well?
Yes.
Okay.
It's, the yearly fee I'm fine with, it's pretty much in line, but just the 3 years.
Yeah, cause the 3 years, we were the only city who did that.
Right.
Most are 1 year, 2 year, but all their city fees were higher than ours. So Valley Centers was higher than ours, Park City was higher than ours, Derby was higher than ours, Rose Hill was higher than ours, MABCD was higher than ours.
Okay.
So that's kind of the reason why we're looking, I kind of did the research already
Okay.
and kind of pushed them together when we were talking about, 'em. You're fine to go wherever you want, I just know that we were, internally, we're like, okay, we thought we were being pretty lenient by giving 3 years.
I've not ever had anybody argue with me
Yeah.
in
I've-
5 years,
I've
nobody
had,
has.
I've had 2 people in the last 6 months probably bring it up and say their contractor didn't like that they had to do a 3-year, but it was 2 instances too, so I know there's a whole lot more input than 2.
So just so we get your recommendation straight, 2 years on the contractor license rather than 3 years. And then, did you say on the contractor class C, reducing that from 300 to 200?
I was just using that as
I
an
think he
example.
wants
Okay.
to reduce them
If-
all to 2/3 of whatever they are, right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But Thomas, if you've done more research, and again, this is just discussion, this is my opinion that came from some input.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just was bringing that up, cause we did talk about this and we went over, it, you know, Matt sent me out to get these numbers.
Okay.
Not only did I look over those rates, I also looked over the timeframes, what cities still do their own inspections, because there's a lot of variation in the county. You know, a lot of people would say, well, I already pay MABCD, why do I pay Kechi too? Well, it's the same as if you do business in Park City or Valley Center, you're gonna pay their dues also.
Yep.
Um,
And we've been.
I was kinda
through all
surprised when
that.
I looked and seen that we were at 3 years and everybody else was at a year or 2 years, so I was kinda confused.
That's my feeling in dealing with it, is 1 year is excessive and it's cumbersome.
Yeah.
Because it just, you turn around and you gotta renew your license, but 2 years seems to me to be more a compromise and to be more standard.
Okay.
So,
You're in the business, I don't know. Fee-wise, reduce those fees or keep them the same? I know I did look over Thomas's fees and we are, like he said, we are consistently lower than other people
Okay.
with our fees.
I think we
so-
should look at that and make sure we're
Okay.
competitive.
Okay, so you want us to bring this back to you then next month? Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
Okay, very good.
yeah, that's good. I mean, I'd rather look at it than not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, we'll get it done.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on the fees before we move on? Seeing none, moving on to old business, we have no old business. Moving on to council reports, any other council member have a report?
I do.
Please, go ahead.
I'll try to speak up, I'm kind of froggy, so I apologize for that. I did not attend the park board meeting, but I did talk to Neva, and they have narrowed down the playground equipment to 2 companies, and they have questions out to those companies. We will meet again in an ad hoc meeting next Tuesday at 6, to discuss those 2 companies, hopefully make a decision. And then, we will move our September 1st meeting to September 8th, just due to Labor Day, for a normal meeting. 2 things, in the park, that I know about is the bike repair station is, approved to be installed, and I don't know when that's gonna happen, but.
Yeah, I need to get with Neva and see, I don't know who's donating it.
It's an anonymous donation is what
Okay.
I
The
understood.
person contacted me in,
Yeah.
so,
Okay, well, I'll get with you and we'll
okay,
arrange pickup.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm excited about that as someone who rides bike, so that's pretty cool. And then, the berm has been vandalized or destroyed a couple of times, not destroyed, but, some of the blocks have been removed out of the walls. I reported that to the city as soon as I knew about it. And, now there are keep off signs on there, so just,
Yeah,
you know, for the
Thomas and
public.
his guys went out and they tried mortaring as many in as they could, but I don't know what they're using or what they're doing, but they're chunking
Chiseling
those
it
things
out.
out of there.
Yeah.
So, the north side has been reconcreted in. My guys actually moved the top 2 layers of the south side and are planning on concreting that side in tomorrow. The no playing signs or stay off signs have been on there 3 or 4 times. They keep getting vandalized and thrown into the park pond. When that berm was put in, those signs are there. People are technically not supposed to be on them. But as we know, they will pull the signs and toss them again. So, you know, I wish I could police everybody's child, but I cannot. The same reason why all the bricks are missing on the west side of the pond, but not the east side of the pond. because we like to throw them into the park pond, but,
Yes,
you know,
we do.
we try to do as much as we can, unfortunately. We can't be over there at the park telling them to stop throwing things
No,
24/7, so.
I just report it when I hear about it, so try to keep on top of it rather than just continue. But, so a couple of things I wanna take back to park board is a recommendation on the berm, so I might have a chat with you later on, ideas about that, so. That's all I have for the park board.
Any other council reports? Okay, here we go. On 7/12, I attended / facilitated SCAC, or the Sedgwick County Association of Cities, that was held in Derby. Our main focus of that meeting was stormwater utility and the work that needs done throughout all of Sedgwick County, not just here. Stormwater is not something we talk about a whole lot, even though Lynn Packer in Sedgwick County is very passionate about it, so, this probably will become a larger conversation throughout Sedgwick County. We talked about an en banc, for all of us to try to get on the same page about it. So more to come on that when we hear more. I attended a REAP steering committee. We discussed the agenda, activities proposed for the year, the budget. 7/24, I attended the Kechi Fair Committee meeting to finish up the planning of the event for the adult bingo and coordinate plans for that Saturday. On 7/26, I volunteered for the Kechi Fair Committee adult bingo and had a great time. 8/1, I attended the K254 steering committee meeting, went over the agenda, discussed the items that we wanted to bring for the meeting that's tomorrow. And today I attended the REAP meeting and again facilitated that, discussed housing insecurities, housing shortage, pretty much anything housing, and we reviewed different committee reports. Again, things that I've completed, our newest edition of Turtle Talk is out on the Facebook page and on the website, so please go and read it if you haven't. I attended different meetings, signed checks, various things, reviewed budget documents, all the things that we do. Tomorrow is the intersection, the intersection's open, but tomorrow's the ribbon cutting, and that's at 11 a.m. Matt, remind us where we're meeting. I know it's at CARD, but what part of the
Yeah,
park?
we'll just meet in the parking lot of CARD.
Okay.
We're not gonna shut down the intersection, we're not gonna stand
Thank
out in
goodness.
traffic, it's all gonna be done on the side of the road. And I think it's important, that was a big project for
Yes.
Kechi, that's one of the largest street projects that this city has ever had. And it inconvenienced a lot of people, was an inconvenience to Public Works, to the police department, to everybody who lives in the area, and I think we should celebrate the opening of that road. It's much, much better than it was. We got rid of the ditches, we have new lights, we have new infrastructure, new water, sewer, gas underneath the roadway that's gonna last us for many, many years. It's gonna make things better for the city at large, and I think we should celebrate that. It's not gonna be anything big, but I think we need to do something, so we'll just have a short.
I noticed there was
ribbon
some
cutting.
extra parking as well,
Yes.
What's that?
Parking.
Extra
in front of,
parking.
There's extra parking, yes.
in front of the playhouse, yeah.
Yep, good things to come in that area.
So I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I plan on being there.
Okay. Well, we're excited to have everybody who is able to come. Sunnydale Community Center is also having their community potluck on August 23rd. I didn't get a time, I think it's at 6. It's also on their community Facebook page if you're interested. I'll be at a funeral in Colorado, so I'll not be able to attend. Kechi Farmers Market, again, is still happening every Thursday, weather permitting, from 4 to 6:30. If you're interested in being a vendor, please contact the Kechi Chamber of Commerce. And I swear that's all I have. So, Matt, any staff updates or anything you?
Just as always, I wanna thank all of our staff. Everybody does an incredible job up here. We've been working very hard, especially on the budget, with all the struggles we've had the last couple weeks with our computer issues. It's amazing how much computer issues affect you. You know, when a computer's down, you almost think you can't do anything anymore. You know? Then we have to go back to the old paper system, but that's okay. We're getting by and we're gonna get them fixed, so. I would like to direct council to our new motto on our wall there. We have one in our conference room as well. And that came from we as staff, okay? Every time that we meet, every time that we discuss something in the city, we remember or think about what is best for Kechi. It's not what's best for Matt Jensby. It's not best what's for Chris. It's not best for what's Paul. It's not what's best for the mayor of the town. It's what's best for everybody. And the reason I put that on the wall is because you sitting up there behind that bench, a lot of times you have to make tough decisions. And a lot of times people from the public will come in and they will express their concerns, and it's important to listen to them and make sure that the decision that you're making is not for one person, but the city as a whole, because that's who we're here to serve, that's who we work for. And I just thought it was important that maybe you see that. Not that you're making bad decisions or anything, but you know, I think it's good for us to have that around City Hall, because every single decision we make in this city is what is for the greatest good of this town, not one person, not one neighborhood. It's what's good for everybody. So
Great to live
that's
by.
what I got.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else, council?
Yes, I have an announcement, if I could make.
Of course, go ahead.
Yes. Just want to let the community know that I will probably miss the next 2 to 3 meetings. I'm scheduled to have back surgery. This will be my 6th one, next Thursday at KU Med in Kansas City. I had back surgery about this time last year. We have diagnostic evidence that I have screws loose, and you guys have known that for a long time.
That was the
But,
brain surgery.
Yeah, I have a few screws loose, but actually going to KU Med in Kansas City, and they're going to redo everything from L2 down to S1, so a major redo of all my back fusions. So I will probably miss the next at least 2, maybe 3 meetings. So just so you know where I'm at, you can always, I guess, prop me up here at the bench if
We're
I
gonna
need to be
put
here.
one of those little head
Yeah.
cutouts on the stick.
probably.
Yeah.
No, I just want the
That's your-
community to know that where I'm at and what I'm doing, and unfortunately, it's not a nice vacation in the Caribbean somewhere.
Well, just skipping out.
Yeah, yeah. I've met my deductible 6 years in a row.
Congrats.
So that's where I'll be, but thank you.
We'll be thinking about you in
Yeah.
the future and
Yeah,
all that.
thank you.
So thank you. Anything else?
Nothing else.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I mean, we adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion by Karen, second by Todd. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Carries 5-0. We are adjourned.